Namaste friends, welcome back after a long gap. I'm back and I hope to make videos with some frequency, some regularity going forward. Unfortunately, my mother, Srimati Ramashyamala, passed away in India on the morning of Vijayadashmi, Dashahara day. So that was one of the reasons why I haven't been able to make any videos recently. Because there are a lot of topics that people keep asking me about, I will make a video just like I did in September. I will make a video where I will quickly comment on various current topics of interest to people. Before I do the, for example, like the farmers' protest and repealing of the farmers' law, etc., and the COVID crisis, etc. And before looking ahead, let us look back at some of the things I said in September. One thing I predicted was that Tom Brady, the quarterback of American football, will have a great season and will be in the conversation for the MVP. And he is indeed one of the top 3 contenders for the most valuable player for this season. He's having a great season. He's leading both in touchdown passes as well as pass yards. So he's having, the 44-year-old man is having a terrific season. So that's going well. And about Bolsonaro, I predicted that the man who's known as Brazil's Donald Trump will actually have great success. Even though people may be discounting him, I predicted that he will rise during the coming year, and in next year's elections he will be successful. And we still have to see. So far he seems to be still in trouble, but let us keep our fingers crossed and see if that prediction goes well. And as far as Justin Trudeau is concerned, in Canada's election, I predicted that he will hang in as the Prime Minister of Canada. He will continue as the Prime Minister, but with considerably reduced strength. He will have to depend on support from another party, and that indeed happened. That is the case. So that came true. And about Gavin Newsom's recall election in California, I predicted that he will be successful. It'll be a clear win for him. There's no danger to him, and indeed that is the case. But there was another part to my prediction. I said that he will win now, but in the long term, for the next election, general election, he will be in trouble. So that we have to wait and see. There is still many more months for that. And finally, the farmers' protest in India, I did not assess it correctly. Based on the charts of India's Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi and India's Home Minister Sri Amit Shah, I predicted last year that from September 2020 till September-October 2021 is a problematic time for them. But because the new year that starts for them in September and October 2021 is very good, I expected political success for them. So I expected that this farmers protest will be behind them. Either it will disappear or it'll be there, but basically people will lose interest in it. I did not assess that correctly. And apart from their charts, somebody shared with me the exact time when the law was passed, and I will show it later. Based on that chart, there are indeed some problematic indications. If I considered that chart, maybe my expectation would have been different. But I accept that I was wrong. Based on their charts, I did not assess it correctly. But I still expect that the coming year is good for them. So I don't expect that this is the start of a string of losses. But what I expect is that they accept defeat in a specific battle so that they can win the larger war. Basically, that is how I see it. So I still think that the next year will be very good for them. So actually, on that note, let us jump ahead at the predictions. So I still believe that for Sri Amit Shah, for Yogi Adityanath, and for Sri Narendra Modi, the next year is a terrific year. The year started for Modi ji a month and a half back. The new year started for Sri Amit Bhai Shah last month, and the new year will start for Sri Yogi Adityanath next month. So the 12 months starting from their birthdays this year, at the end of this year, will be very, very good for all the 3 of them. So as far as Uttar Pradesh assembly elections are concerned, I strongly expect Yogi Adityanath to be successful, have a very convincing win, and consolidate his position in the BJP party. And I don't have specific predictions on other elections that are going to happen next year because I don't have the charts of key players. But based on the charts of Sri Narendra Modi and Amit Shah, I expect that BJP will have a very good year. And the other thing that I expected earlier, I still stand by it, which is after this farmers protest thing is behind them, after repealing the farmers farm reform legislation, they will go ahead with their legislative agenda, and there will be some important work politically and legislatively that will happen in the coming year. So for Narendra Modi ji and Amit Shah ji, this is a very good year. Coming 11 months or so is a very good time, and Yogi Adityanath will be successful in the elections. And as far as COVID is concerned, I expected a wave in US in this time frame, in the starting in late October, November, December time frame. I expected another wave in US, and it's from the news media. It seems like there is a slight increase. For example, in the last couple of weeks, apparently the cases and deaths increased by 20% or something. So there is a little bit of wave, but this is basically nothing. So I believe that and we are close to the peak. The peak is still a little away, a few days away, but I think we are close to the peak now. And looking at how things are going now, I think US is past the danger. So I believe that the next wave in US that I expected, because of the high levels of vaccination in US, it did not really cause a lot of damage. So that is good news. And as far as India is concerned, India also made tremendous progress in vaccination over the last few months. So hopefully it will be the same way in India also. But the worst is not. The peak astrologically is not there yet. It will basically start in December, second half of December and January. That is when the peak will be. In January is the peak. So people, I still recommend that you be careful and use mask, etc., even if you are vaccinated, just to be on the safe side. And if you are not vaccinated, please get vaccinated. So hopefully with vaccination, the wave at the end of this year that I expected in India will pass without a lot of damage. That is what I am hoping. Let us keep our fingers crossed. Until mid-January or end of January, we can't heave a sigh of relief, basically. But in US, I think the peak is nearly here, and this is not bad at all. So I think US is past the trouble. And as far as some European countries that are in trouble right now are concerned, I specifically looked at Germany and Austria. As for Germany, I think that the peak, we are close to the peak. And in another week or so, I expect that things will start to decline. I expect things to come under control in Germany in another week or 10 days or so. On the other hand, in Austria, I expect the trouble to continue for another month or so. So till the end of December, till Christmas or New Year, things will be very problematic in Austria. And unfortunately, I haven't looked at other countries. And if people are interested in other countries, you can add comments and I will try to cover in future videos. And we covered Indian politics. Let's come to US politics. So in US, I expected Joe Biden to have a big success in the second half of this year, and he indeed had a big success. The bipartisan, I forget what it's called, I think the infrastructure law or something, infrastructure bill was passed successfully, the 1 trillion or something along that order. So that was successful, but his birthday is happening around this time. His new year starts, and this is a good year. So I expect that the other bill, I think it's called Build Back Better or something, I think that bill also will be passed, even though there were a lot of difficulty in the last few months in passing it. I think that bill also will be passed. Maybe perhaps not bipartisan, it will be Democrats only, but I expect that Biden will have a few more legislative successes in the coming few months. And Kamala Harris, there's been some bad news about her recently, that she has a fallout with Biden. There are even some rumors that she will be replaced, etc. I do not expect that she will be replaced. I do expect that she will continue as the vice president, and but the thing is, her position right now is problematic. But I expect that she will consolidate her position in the coming year. Her birthday also happened recently, so things will improve for her. But the thing is, I don't think I covered it in my videos, but in my Facebook post I talked about her horoscope. She's not really a great leader astrologically. What I see is she's a very smart person, very clever person, very opportunistic person, very self-centered person. She knows how to take care of her self-interest, and she's a lucky person basically. She's not really a great leader, so she won't really, I don't expect her to deliver anything meaningful, but she will do proper PR in the coming months, and some of the negative talk about her will disappear. So these are some of the things I was thinking about. And a lot of people ask me about crypto, the future of crypto. I will actually, that deserves a video of itself, so I will make a detailed video on crypto. But one thing I will say is, we are in a period of extreme vata. Vata in Ayurvedic terms, vata means basically change, lot of flux, lot of fluid, lot of instability. So it can be flexibility on the positive side, and also it can be lot of instability on the negative side. So we are in a period of high vata. This is kind of like a Yuga Sandhi. It's not like Kali Yuga is ending and we are starting Satya Yuga. It is still Kali Yuga, but within the Yuga, it is like a sub-yuga change. So effectively it is a yuga or sub-yuga sandhi, a join between different phases for the world. So that is why we see so many turmoils and so much unexpected change that happens very, very fast. So okay, what I was going to say is, that is why you see so many changes. And with respect to currency also, currency is really putting value on something. So just like so many other things became more fluid, more unstable in the last few years, same thing will happen with the currency also, with how we value commodities also. So I do expect in the coming decade and a half that crypto will actually pick up steam, and it will become more valued. Only thing is, there will be a lot of changes. For example, just like when search engines came, Yahoo was top search engine and it was replaced by Google. Like that, it may or may not be Bitcoin, it may be something else that comes later. So I will make a detailed video on the future of cryptocurrencies later. But overall, over the next decade and a half, cryptocurrencies will do well is what I expect. Basically, a lot of established things, whether it's the value of money, value of commodities, our political systems, how we govern ourselves, economy, politics, all these things will become unstable, and the existing structures will basically lose their value and they will collapse, and only then a new and more dharmic equilibrium can be established in the world. So we will see a lot of upheaval in the coming decade and a half, and crypto is one of those. And the other thing is, when I talk about upheaval, I also mentioned in a previous video that in the 2030-2031 time frame, when Shani and Ketu conjoin in Rohini Nakshatra in Vrishabha Rasi, and Guru and Rahu conjoin in Anuradha Nakshatra in Vrishchik Rasi, almost exactly opposite. All the four planets in a small arc in Vrishabha and Vrishchika, that's a really, really dangerous transit. So that happens at the end of October, end of 2030, October 2030, I believe. So 2030-2031 time frame, I do expect a major war to break out. But some of the initial developments towards that may happen next year. March, April of next year, when Saturn and Mars conjoin in Makara Rasi, Capricorn, is a problematic period. So I do expect something to break out in that period. It may not develop into a large scale war, but there will be some aggression, most likely by China. China is likely to engage in an aggression in next March April time frame, most likely in the Taiwan area, Taiwan region, in the South China Sea region. And after some aggression, things may be back under control, but the thing is, it will destabilize the situation enough so that it will trigger a chain of events over the next few years, and that will eventually lead to the world war that I expect in 2030, 2031. And one more thing is, people ask me, is there a danger of war between China and India? Because there has been a lot of movement by China on India's border. But I do expect, just like I predicted last year, was it last year or the year before, when there was a similar tension, I wrote on Facebook that it will be diffused. There won't be a war between China and India, and I expect the same thing now. I expect lot of hangama there, lot of crazy developments there, but in the end, it will be diffused. It will be just a diversionary tactic. China's real aggression will be in the South China Sea, and most likely it will be in the April time frame, March-April time frame. And I hope in this particular case my prediction is wrong, because if that happens, it will set a chain of events for the coming decade or so. So it will be really problematic. So I hope that doesn't happen. So these are some of the things I wanted to talk about. If there is something, oh, by the way, people keep asking me, what is the future of Hinduism? Will Hinduism remain, etc.? I don't expect Sanatana Dharma to disappear. Sanatana Dharma will remain, and it is a problematic decade for Hinduism. The onslaught from Christian missionaries and some other forces, let me not name them, the onslaught will continue in India over the next decade or so. So Hindus have to be aware, and Hindus have to arise and take care of Hinduism. But at the same time, all this will eventually lead to a Hindu awakening, and I don't expect Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma to disappear from it. I expect, actually, after all the upheaval that I talk about, that Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma will actually lead the world. So I don't expect any danger in the long term, but in the short term, the onslaught that is happening in some states of India will continue for some more time, unfortunately. So people have to do the right things in their own lives and in their own communities. So on that note, I will finish the predictions, and now we will go through some astrological analysis that explains the rationale behind some of the things that I mentioned so far. And those who are not interested in astrological details can skip now. Okay, let us now see the astrological analysis behind some of the predictions or some of the assessment I shared already. First, let us start with the farmers' protest. So, based on the charts of Sri Narendra Modi and Amit Shah earlier, I expected that after their birthday this year, things will be better for them. So, I expected that this will be behind them. So this shows the weakness of astrology, the fallibility of astrology, because people do a lot of things. A particular bill, how it goes, it may or may not be that easy to look at it from the chart of that particular person. I mean, in the long term, if this starts a trend, if basically they keep losing everything, then that's a different thing. But if this is just a last battle, but they actually win the war, win the remaining battles and win the war, then basically this is nothing. So more than their charts, it is useful to see the chart when the bill was passed, which I did not see earlier. So after my last video, somebody kindly shared this data. Apparently this was covered live on TV, so they had the exact time. So this is the date, this is the data when the bill was passed, and you can see that the Navamsha, Rasi chart is an important chart, but Navamsha is the chart of Dharma. When you are talking about a legislation, Navamsha is basically the purpose that it serves for the society. So it's a very important chart. So if you look at, and even in the Rasi chart, you will see that 12th and 8th houses are very strong. 12th Lord is in 12th house, which is the house of loss, and 8th house, troubles. 8th Lord in the 8th house, and also 7th Lord, Ketu, is in the 8th house. 7th and 8th lords being in the 8th house, I keep saying many times that this is a Marka combination. So there is a killer combination, unfortunately. So that is one thing. And the Lagna Lord, he is in third house, and for a benefic, third house is not good basically. So this is one of the reasons. But more importantly, in the Navamsha, which shows the subtle forces that work for or against a bill. In general, for human beings, Navamsha is the chart of Purva Punya, what you are carrying from the previous lives. And similarly for legislation, what is the subtle momentum of karma that is affecting that particular activity. So if you see the Lagna is afflicted by the 8th Lord Ketu, so that is problematic. That is one thing. And the Lagna Lord is in second house of Markasthana, which is not a good thing. But more importantly, the 10th house of politics or action in the society, that karma, that is, even though it has its own Lord, for Saturn to be in his own house, 10th Lord is in 10th house, but 10th Lord Saturn is in Manakarka Sthana there. From the 10th house, Shani in the first house is Manakarka Sthana, and he is afflicted by Sun. So the Sun-Saturn combination is very problematic. And if you look at the longitudes, you will see that in Navamsa, Sun is at 20 degree Capricorn, Saturn is at 22 degree Capricorn. So that's like within a couple of degrees. So this is really problematic. So this is really, in my assessment, this Saturn-Sun combination is what caused the problem for this, basically all that protest that went on for such a long time. So this is basically driven. Saturn shows peasants. So this is actually, there were some genuine farmers and peasants who were in the protest, but it is also Sun. Sun is the planet of politics. So it is politically driven, but also there were people who were peeved by this. So that combination basically created problem. And if you look at the annual chart, if you look at the Tithi Pravesh chart of 2021, you will see that in the Rasi chart, Lagna Lord Mars is afflicted by 8th Lord Mercury. So that is one thing. And Rahu is in the 7th house. When Rahu is in the 7th house, a malefic in the 7th house. 7th house is the house of death. A malefic in the 7th house is problematic. But more importantly, again, Navamsa. See the Navamsa, because it shows the punya, the karmic momentum that is subtly guiding a particular activity. So you can see that again here also Rahu is in the 7th house of Marana, and you will see that 2nd and 7th Lord Mars, Maraka, he is exalted. So a very strong Maraka, and Lagna is containing Badhaka Lord Sun in debility, 2nd Lord Ketu, Lagna Lord, and the 6th Lord Jupiter. So this is a very undesirable combination in Lagna. So that basically this year is a doomed year for the sustenance of this bill. So that is basically what we see astrologically. Okay, so let us leave it. Now what else do I want to cover? COVID. Let us make New Year for Berlin. For India and US, I won't go through it again. I have already gone through it in a previous couple of previous videos. So again, for US, my expectation was that the peak will be there will be a wave in October, November, December time frame, and the peak will be in November. And we are around the peak time, but it's not really bad. There's just a little bit of wave. It's not really doing a lot of damage. So I hope it will be the same in India. And India, I expect the wave to occur from mid-December till the end of January or into February, and the peak around mid-January. So that is what I expect for India. And hopefully, because of high vaccination levels in India, just like US, it will follow the same pattern as in US, I'm hoping. But in any case, because astrologically there is a chance of a big wave, please be careful. Don't basically drop your guard. Just a few more months. Take it seriously. So Berlin, Germany. Let us make the mundane chart, Lunar New Year chart. Again, I don't use the standard Lunar New Year chart that everybody uses. This is based on my research, which I shared earlier. So I won't explain it again. But if you look at the Germany's chart, let us look at D6 and Bhava Chakra also based on D6, just like we did for US and India. Okay. You can see that in the Shashtamsa, 6th Lord Mercury is in Lagna, which is not good, but more Lagna Lord Mars is in Badhakasthana afflicted by Venus, the second and seventh Lord. That is a real problem. Maraka planet afflicting Lagna Lord, also enemy in Badhakasthana. This is the problem combination. And then you can see that Shani 10th Lord Saturn is in 10th house. So Chaturasi iti Samadasya applies. So we've been using the different dasas for different countries. For Germany, it should be the Chaturasi iti Samadasya of Shashtamsya. So if we see this, you see that Venus Dasa runs October 6 to November 26. And if you see Venus, like I said earlier, he is the Maraka, second and seventh Lord in Badhakasthana. 11th house is the Badhakasthana for mobile signs, afflicting Lagna Lord Mars and their enemy. So this is a problematic period. So if you look at the waves, if you look at Germany, you can see that there was a small wave, but really the big wave started around this time. From now onwards is going up. So that is around October 1st or so. Then it basically just kept going up exponentially. So that is the pattern. And I expect that the worst will be after Venus Dasha, things will be better. Saturn is not a great Dasha. Saturn is with the 8th Lord and with the Badhaka Lord, and he is the dispositor of Venus-Mars combination. So this Dasha is also a problematic Dasha. So this Dasha. So it can continue into January 15 also, but the thing is the peak is likely around the end of November. So I expect that during Saturn Dasha it will not fall steep, but it will basically reach a peak and it will basically slowly gradually go down. That is what I expect. So I think the worst may be behind them, but they have to do the right things and hopefully they will do it, like vaccinating people, etc. If you look at Austria, the other country that is badly affected, okay, Mundane, Lunar New Year chart, same chart. They share the same chart because they are nearby. Only higher charts like Shashtamsa will be different, but I won't use them for this purpose. So if you, and some other countries in the neighborhood may also share the same chart, but here you see that 10th Lord Saturn is not in the 10th house. So what Dasha applies here, I believe it is, I don't think any special Dasha applies, so we'll just use the Vimshotri Dasha. I believe Vimshotri is the best Dasha here, standard Vimshotri Dasha. So if you do that, you will see that, let me quickly see if there is actually another Dasha that applies. Okay. Okay, you can see that Guru Dasha is running. This is the best Dasha. So Guru Dasha is running from November 3 to December 20. And Guru, even though he is the 9th Lord, he is also the 12th Lord, and he is in Manakarka Sthana. Third house is Manakarka Sthana for Jupiter. I mean, here you may think that he is in the second house, but actually house-wise he is in the third house. So he is in Manakarka Sthana and he is in an inimical sign. It's not a friendly sign. So this is a problematic period for them. For this is also a problematic period, and also Venus will come later. That can also be a problematic period. So you can see that Jupiter period, if you look at Austria, if you look at the wave in Austria, you can see that it started around, till here it was going slowly, but around here it started really increasing. So that was towards the end of October, and that's basically around this Dasha. And of course Rahu is also Badhaka Lord, so he is also problematic, but Guru Dasha, this is really causing problems there. So that is basically what we see for them. So let us move on to Joe Biden's chart, actually Yogi Adityanath's chart. Actually, let me copy from here. No. Yogi Adityanath, if we look at the Tithi Pravesh chart for 2021, he was born in December So if you look at the Tithi Pravesh chart, you will see that the Lagna, let us switch to the Samsa based. Okay, so Lagna contains Lagna Lord Venus, very strong, and the 5th Lord Mercury aspects the 5th house, even though he is afflicted by the 8th Lord. And Saturn, the 9th Lord, is in the 9th house, showing fortune. So basically, when the 9th Lord is strong, even if things are going against you, suddenly the result will be for you. Even if the trajectory seems bad, you will be fortunate basically. So Lagna and 9th Lord strength is very good for him. So I do expect that he will be very successful. He will have a convincing win in the assembly elections next year. And even if you look at the Tajaka chart, you will see that 10th house has 10th Lord Mars in it, and the Yokarka Venus is in the 5th house. So you see this Venus Mercury combination, but house wise only Venus is in the 5th house, and he is Yokarka. So that is really good. So there are enough positive indications. So I don't think that Yogi Adityanath has any trouble. So even if the opposition joins forces and fights against him, I think he will prevail in the next year's assembly elections. And let us look at Joe Biden's chart. So if you look at the 2021 Tajaka chart, you will see that Lagna Lord Mars is in Lagna in Moola Trikona, and the 10th Lord Saturn is in the 10th house. So that is good. But the 5th Lord Sun is in Manakarka Sthana. So there are some negative indications, but there is enough strength. And also 9th Lord Jupiter aspecting the 5th house, and 4th Lord Moon is there. So there is a Rajoga between Moon and Jupiter, 4th and 9th Lords, as well as Gajkesari Yoga. So this is a very auspicious chart. So I do think that recently he got a law passed, and I think he may have a couple more legislative victories, and I think he will do fine. He will have a few good months, but there are enough negative indications also here. The 5th house contains Moon Rahu, and the 5th Lord is in Manakarka Sthana in the 12th house. So this won't be a consistently good year, but for the next few months he will have a good time. So some more laws will be passed, some more legislative victories will be had. And let's look at Kamala Harris chart. If you look at Kamala Harris chart, you see that Lagna is Mercury, very intelligent. Rahu is there, 9th Lord Rahu, and Rahu will make somebody very like a go-getter, somebody who can go to any lengths to get what they want. And he can also give some kind of selfishness. So that is why I was saying earlier. And of course, if you look at the Navamsha, it will be clearer. But let us not look at that. Let us look at how the time is for her now. Let us actually look at the last year first. If you look at the 2020, actually let's switch. Tajga is also good, but let's see the Tithi Pravesh chart. 2020 Tithi Pravesh chart. Yeah. If you see the 2020 Tithi Pravesh chart, you see that there is this terrific Raj Yoga. Venus, Mercury and Saturn, Lagna Lord, 5th Lord and 9th Lord, all on the 10th house axis. This is why more than Joe Biden's chart, when I saw Kamala Harris chart, I convinced myself that they will have a victory. She will become the vice president. So let us go back to the Tajaka chart, and even in this chart, you will see that the 10th house contains 10th Lord Moon, and it is basically a very strong chart. Now let us look at the next year's chart. 2021 Tajaka chart. How is the next year? So you will see that the Mars is in 3rd house, which is for being aggressive, and is the 9th Lord aspecting the 9th house, and Lagna Lord is aspecting the 10th house of karma, and the 2nd house of speech contains Jupiter, Mercury, exalted Mercury and Venus. So she had some PR disasters over the last few months, but this year is basically a good year. So if you look at the dashas, you will see why she had some problems. But the thing is, okay, so if you see the Dasyamsha chart, the Tara Dasya from Saturn is the most applicable Dasya. So based on that Dasya, you can see that Moon Dasya was running over the last month or so. Moon is even though he's in the 11th house, he's the 12th lord. So he basically gives some losses. So that is why basically, and Moon is the planet of image, public perception, etc. So Moon being the 12th lord, so there was some bad PR during this period. But the thing is, Mars Dasya is starting now. And Mars is the ninth Yokarka, aspecting the 9th house from 3rd house. So she will get her act right. And for some people were speculating that she will be replaced because the relation between her and Joe Biden has gone bad. That may indeed be true, but the relation may have gone bad, but I don't think her position is in danger. As a matter of fact, she will be able to get her PR correct, get her public relations correct, and get the right news coverage about her, etc. So I think she will be fine. And you can see that in the Navamsha chart also, you can see that Lagna contains Rahu, so there is a strong Rahu influence on her, and Rahu stands for deceit. So she is not a straightforward person. She is very intelligent, she is a go-getter, but she is not a straightforward person at all. Whereas if you look at Joe Biden's chart, you will see that he's a very straightforward person. Of course, in politics you have to lie sometimes, but the thing is, in his conscience, he's clear what he's doing and why he's doing, and whether you agree with his worldview or not, whether you agree with his political views or not, he is clear in his conscience and he follows it. Whereas somebody with Rahu in Lagna so closely is not a person with a strong conscience. So let us leave it at that. So that is basically about Kamala Harris chart. And what else do we want to see? I won't go through astrological factors for that. But the thing is, Capricorn as a sign is associated with China, and Saturn Mars will be conjoined. If you look at next year, let's say tentatively, let's say April 1, 2022. Okay, you will see that Saturn is at 29 degree Capricorn, and Mars is also at the end of Capricorn. So Mars will be in deep exaltation and Saturn will be in own sign. So, and they are deep enemies, serious enemies. So that combination is very problematic. It can result in violence, and this sign is associated with China. So that is basically what I wanted to cover. If you have any questions, if you want me to cover any specific topics, please put it in the comments. And because I do this maybe once every week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I won't be able to cover a lot of topics, but I will do my best to address topics that are of interest to more people. Thank you very much, and please take care of yourself, and hopefully the COVID-19 crisis will be behind us soon. And please, if a wave is going on where you live, don't take it easy. Please don't drop your guard. Even if you are vaccinated, be careful. On that note, I will end this session. Thank you very much. Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu. Yavad Bhumandale Sanatana Dharmo Vardhatu. विशेषतः भारतखंडे अमेरिका वर्षे टिबेट राष्ट्रे च ओम शांति शांति शांति. थैंक यू.